Hello there, thrill seekers. I got an email from someone who identifies himself as nihilistic subscriber. I don't know if it's a himself or a herself. I'm just going to go ahead and say him because it has a bit of more of a himmy male edge to it than female. It says, "Sorry to bother you, but I'm miserable and don't really have a reason to live. I'm not sure why I keep going on. There's nothing in the future for me to look forward to. All the things I want are impossible. Can Zen provide me a way out of this misery?" So, that's an interesting question because it hinges on a lot of things. And I'm looking at the answer that I wrote, but I don't think I'm going to read you that answer because I'll just talk it out to you. The crux of this question seems to be there's nothing in the future for me to look forward to. All the things I want are impossible. Well, those are two sort of issues that I think are related. All the things I want are impossible. Let me address that one first because that's maybe the easiest one to address. I can say that in my life, I thought a lot of things were impossible, and then once I gave up that idea that they were impossible, then they became possible. The other thing was giving up the idea that the results I wanted had to look exactly like the way I envisioned them. I did a video about this a month or two ago. I can't remember. It's called... what the hell is it called? It's called The Goularte Story. Hold on. Let me go see what it's called. Okay, it's called When Things Don't Go Your Way, The Goularte Story, and I put it up 2 months ago. Short version of that video, you don't always recognize when the things that you want come into your world. When you have actually achieved what you wanted to achieve, sometimes you don't recognize that. And I gave a concrete example in that video, and you can go watch that video, and I think it's a good example of someone who achieved exactly what he wanted and then complained that he hadn't achieved what he wanted. I thought it was an interesting phenomenon. So that sometimes happened, and I've seen that happen in my own life. Getting what I wanted and then not noticing that I got what I wanted because it didn't come in exactly the form that I expected it to. Also, the idea that the things that you want are impossible. I found that what helped a lot in my way of dealing with this was to shrink my wants, to make my wants a little bit smaller, and then work on achieving those. But achieving what you want is not always the best thing. There's a great parable about this in Indian, or maybe it's a Chinese parable, I can't remember. It's about a guy who gets 2 horses, and then everybody says, "Oh, that's great," and then he says, "Well, we'll see," and then the horses run away, and people say, "Oh, that's bad," and he says, "Well, we'll see," and then the horses come back bringing other horses with them, and the people say, "Oh, that's great," and he says, "Well, we'll see." Then one of the horses, his son breaks his leg riding one of the horses, and people say, "Oh, that's terrible," and he says, "We'll see." And then when the army comes to try to drag his son off to fight in a war, they don't want him because his leg is broken, and people go, "Oh, that's great," and he says, "We'll see." It goes like that. So getting what you want is not always the best thing. Now, the question, or the aspect of the question that I answered when I answered it by email to the person who wrote me this, I focused on the aspect of something to look forward to. That, I think, is a really interesting thing, because I hesitated to say that a little bit because, well, let's bring it back in, because, I can't assume everything for everybody else. I can, but I'm not going to. I always want something to look forward to. Always. All my life. I've wanted something to look forward to. Sometimes I order stuff on Amazon just so I'll have something to look forward to. It's a little package in the mail. But that's not a good way to deal with it. Well, it's probably not the worst way to deal with it, but that's what we do. That's how we are built. We're always wanting something to look forward to. Now, when I was young, what I looked forward to was hoping that my career as an indie rock musician would pan out and I'd be a rock star. Well, after I saw what happened to Kurt Cobain, who's about the same age as me, was producing music that was quite similar to what I was doing, came out of a background that was really, really similar to mine, and then killed himself when he became rich and famous, I started going, yeah, maybe I dodged a bullet there. Maybe getting rich and famous wasn't the best thing. But this matter of looking forward to something remains. So we always want something to look forward to, whether it's this kind of nebulous thing like I'll get rich and famous someday, or to, I'll pay off my college debts, or I'll finally own my car, or whatever it is. But whatever you get, once you get it, becomes a thing that you have, and then drifts off into the past as something that you've achieved in the past, and then you want something else. Something else always has to come in and take its place. And so if you live your life according to the criteria of always having something to look forward to, and that's what I live my life for, it's not going to be a happy life, because you're always going to be looking forward to something, and once you get to something, that's going to be the thing in the past, and it just becomes something you already have. Even unsurpassed, complete, perfect enlightenment will eventually become something that you have in your past that you reflect on and go, oh, that was nice, I wish that would happen again. Whatever it is will be just like that. The greatest sex in the world, the most money in the world, the biggest fame in the world. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what it is. Even if your wants and needs are simple and easy to fulfill, they'll still be that. And there are studies, psychological studies on this. I think I referenced them in my book, Sit Down and Shut Up. In one of my books, I actually looked up one of these references. It was called Happiness Studies. And if you go on Google and look up happiness studies, you'll find some information on this, and people have researched this for years. So looking forward to something isn't going to make you happy, isn't going to work, because whatever you get, it just becomes the thing that you've already gotten. The only thing I've found that was effective in kind of dealing with this, and you know what my answer is going to be if you've ever watched this channel before, is the practice of Zazen. The practice of Zazen has gotten me to the point of being able to see my desires for things in the future for what they really are. They're just noises in my head. There's something that my brain does. It's probably evolutionary. It probably has to do with survival. It probably has to do with keeping my animal body going to get the next meal, or to get the next opportunity for procreation, or whatever animal bodies are programmed to do. Probably is being rewired or something to make me want the next I don't know, the next guitar or whatever it is that I want, the next bass. I want one of those signature flea basses that Fender makes. That's in my mind lately. It's this distressed bass. They make it look like it's really old, but it's actually brand new, and it's done to Flea's exact specification stuff. And I'm not a big Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, but he's a great bass player, and I thought, oh, that looks like a cool bass. That's in my mind as one of the things I want. But if I get it, it'll be just another thing that I have in the house, and it'll be another thing that I'll have to cart around the next time I move, and and I'll have to pay $50 extra baggage fee to take it to the next Zero Defects gig, and $50 more to get it back. There's all sorts of other things that go along with anything that you want. So I hope instead of just listening to me rant about a flea bass, you are understanding that this goes for anything that anybody wants. So whatever I want will never be the final finishing line, even, as I said, if it's Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, complete, perfect, unsurpassed enlightenment. Even that is not the final finishing line. Nothing is the final finishing line. This is where the goalless practice of Zazen is so good. This is why the goalless practice of Zazen is so good. Because if you practice a practice in which you're not trying to achieve any goal, including trying to settle your mind or become a better person or whatever other goals they have for most forms of meditation, then you get used to not having a goal, and you get used to seeing what goals are in the first place and what having something to look forward to is in the first place. And that is a really solid foundation. But it does not mean that you will ever get to the point where you just won't look forward to things. Looking forward to things is another name for desire, and the old version of the Four Noble Truths says desire is the cause of all suffering. So that's why you're suffering, because you want something. Well, you'll never stop wanting something. That's what Nishijima Roshi found out, and it's why he objected to the way the Four Noble Truths are usually formulated. You'll never stop wanting something. No matter how enlightened you get, you will never stop wanting something. At least that's my feeling. If you have achieved not wanting something, don't even bother commenting, because you don't even want to comment. I get people who comment things like that sometimes, and I think it's hilarious. Like how they've achieved the ending of all desire, and I'm going, yeah, you desired to write to me about how you achieved the ending of all desire, which I think is silly and hilarious, but, that's how people delude themselves. Anyway, you'll never get to the point where you won't desire anything, but you will get to the point where, you might get to the point anyway, where you see your desires for what they are. Just a little noise that goes on like, I want that flea base. I want that flea base. Why don't you go on eBay and see if anybody's selling one, and you can go on eBay and see if you can even buy one. It's not going to solve your problems. So just be where you are, because where you are is always where you are. So if you achieve the thing and you have all the stuff, then you've just got all this stuff and you're still exactly where you are. The thing is, if you're living your life and your criteria is having something to look forward to, just forget it. Just forget it. I know it's easier said than done, and that's why I say do the practice of Zazen every day, because that really has helped me get over desire, over the idea of having always something to look forward to. There you go. And if you want to give me something to look forward to, you can send me a donation at the URL you're seeing below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you will find links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts. Those are my main and only ways of making a living, and I really appreciate your support. But as always, this is offered for free, so you don't gotta donate if you don't want to donate. We will see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye. Hey Ziggy, what do you look forward to? Do you look forward to food, or walks, or treats, or barking at somebody? Yeah, you got a lot of stuff you look forward to. Maybe that's just wired into the animal brain, huh? Alright, we'll see you later, Zig. Bye.